defensively pretty early. So much about what you do around the contest and how much you got it outside the contest as well that just blew that game open early.
Yeah, it was a great win, really great win for a lot of reasons. Yeah, we got a lot of things right. We executed a plan coming in, and we played against a side that have been really strong this year defensively, and so we knew that would be a challenge for us. But I thought our guys were really brave the way they played. We pressed the ground and we took them on with the ball. We got outside them on transition, and we gave our forwards the best chance possible. So really complete game for us, and a spread of goal kickers in amongst that as well is the most pleasing part. We didn't rely on one. But yeah, really proud of the way they went about it. It's a big game for us today, big stage. The ladder's starting to sort of sort itself through, and we knew this was a huge challenge for us against a very good side, and we executed.
So how do you think you won that uncontested 288's a huge number against that uncontested? How do you think you made that happen today?
Well, we've trained our contest method all year. Well, by contest method, I mean that ability to shape the ground and use each other with the ball. We've been good in that space for a lot of the year. Today, it really came together. So that gave us the opportunity to win the hard ball first on the ground and then shape away from that. And we were able to get outside today as well as we have. We weren't able to do that last week against Geelong, and we came away from the Geelong game probably with an even higher level of respect for the way Geelong went about it. They didn't allow us to do that. Today, our guys, we worked on it during the week and they executed it as well as we could. So, that's where the uncontested part of the game comes. It's not so much about our offence, it's more about the work we're doing before that.
Can you talk about the decision to start with Riley Thilthorpe in the ruck?
Yeah, well, that's where we got elite leaders. So, we had a conversation during the week about Riley and his ability to start a game off and impact the game early. And I sat down with Riley O'Brien and just said, "How do you feel about this?" And Rob was a massive supporter of it. Whatever's best for the team. This is the sort of human beings I get to work with from our leadership group. So really pleasing that we're able to execute that today. I thought Riley Thilthorpe was great early. I thought it just gave him a chance to settle himself into the game a bit. And even when you see the game play out, coming towards the second half and that fourth quarter, that's where I thought Rob probably looked a little bit fresher than most. So not something that we'll always lock in with, but we have that flexibility that, we will do everything we can for the team. That's how our players operate.
Do you see with Riley Thilthorpe, is he going to be a ruck in the future? Is he going to be a key forward? Do you know, does he know?
No, we don't know yet. That's the best part about it. He's extremely flexible around where it is he ends up. He's just working on his game at the moment. And what we find with Riley, if we can get him into the game early, it seems to get him up and about, seems to build his momentum. And, being around the ball, it makes it a little bit easier rather than relying on that ball coming in and having a defender there to stop you every time. So we'll keep looking at that going forward.
Matthew, what do you like about those 12 goal scorers, that they've now built a connection, that they know where each other is, or the way in which they prepared to hand it off, which is the aspect of having 12 goal scorers that ticks a box with you?
Oh, it's a combination of everything, Rich. If you rely on one or two, then the opposition are able to counter that too easily. So these guys have spent, for some it's only been a couple of years. For one, it's been 1 year, and he seems to have settled in really well. But there's no doubt the more footy you play together, the more you have a connection and understanding. And I'm not just talking about our forward group here. I'm talking about our wingers with our half forwards, even our half backs. That connection with a winger. I think Chase has taken his game to another level. Lockie Scholes playing some of his best footy. That helps when it comes to our goal kicking, because we don't just rely on our forwards to knock goals through. We're able to work right through that midfield as well. It's time, it's these guys playing games together and just putting season after season, building that cohesion.
And do you get more mystified about goal kicking when last time it was an issue and this week it goes away, so to speak?
Well, that wasn't an issue last week. It was an issue. The noise from outside, it was an issue.
2 weeks ago,
Yeah, we've had one game where we cost ourselves the game through inaccurate goal kicking. If you look at our expected score, from shots on goals. We've taken a lot of shots from out, on the 50 arc, and they're not necessarily goals that you just knock down and say that should be a goal. So we've been working on that. That's shot selection. That's been able to find the corridor a little more, put yourself in a position where the expectation to put it through is there. So I think we saw a fair bit of that today.
You mentioned a lot of the younger players there, Matthew, but the older blokes like Walker, Sloane, Smith is having a great year.
Yeah.
Miller are even in that category. Tommy Go, they're really, I guess, shining for you at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, and Sloane's been rock solid all year, playing a really important role for us, starting on the bench, coming on and becoming, well, not becoming, he's remaining as that leader on field to support Dawson. I thought that was one of Tex's best games today on a very, very strong opponent in Wilkie. And we gave Tex the best opportunity today to show his weapons. We were able to get him in one-on-one marking contests, and he's very good in those. At worst, he was bringing it to ground today, so really pleasing. That takes a lot of prep and a lot of work, over time for us to get that right. Even Darcy Fogarty's very similar, so pleasing that we're able to execute that today.
Just one more on the forward line with Walker. I mean, your scoring, I think, had 32 shots from your first 46 entries, your highest score in your tenure here, fourth time, over 100. The scoring power is pretty fearsome, you'd have to say. Do you think you're making a bit of a statement by being able to pile on those higher scores?
Look, to be honest, it's of course scoring 121 points is a great sign for us. It's where it comes from, though, is the key for us. And our mindset is not about kicking 121 points. That's the bonus on top. I think we kept them to 67. That's our mindset. And so, we came in today knowing that 121 points was going to be a really tough ask because they haven't done or had that done against them all year. If we got a lot of things right today, it was going to be our defence and our transition, and I thought we nailed that today. That was as good as I've seen us in that space. And off the back of that comes the opportunity to score. We found ourselves in really strong positions where we were able to go back at the opposition. I think it was 14 goals off intercept. And our guys know that. We know that. It's something we'll keep working on because the consistency in that's important. You can't go away from it, otherwise, before you know it, we'll be why aren't you able to score? Well, it'll be our transition and our defence.
Is Luke Pedler at centre bounces around the ball something we're going to see more of as the year goes on?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we really enjoyed that today. He had a little bit of a sniff in there, and he's a power athlete. He's still got some stuff that he's working through, but really pleasing today to see the way he went about that. Off limited work, we've been really focusing in on him getting it right forward of the ball. He's really important to us in a few of the roles he plays there. But today I thought he added something else to his game. He showed what he can do around the ball. And long term, when we drafted Luke, we drafted him as a midfielder from a long-term point of view. It's just we don't want to rush into that. But today was a great step in the right direction.
Is Laddie okay? Yes, off the top dealt with a rib issue, is that right?
Yeah, no, Laddie's fine. As far as I'm aware, that was more of a management towards the end. We wanted to get Ned in and add that impact, and get that run, and I thought Ned stood up too. It's a tough gig coming on as a sub, and I thought Ned was great today, and the reason we took Laddie out was management.
Matthew, on the big picture, you would say every season you would want to start expecting to play finals. Now at this point where you're in the 8, should that now be a belief that you will play finals? That you have the capacity to do it?
I think if you ask our playing group, there's always a belief there. If you don't have a belief that you can play finals, well, I'm not sure you should be in the league. So that belief will never change. We want them to believe, and I've spoken about it. Earlier this year, I said momentum. Form is fickle, and we're going to ride this wave because we've got so much confidence at the moment. We get our confidence from being competent. So we know we can play really good footy, but there's a challenge to do it week in, week out. We've lost, out of the last 3 games, we've lost 2 and won 1. And we feel like we've played some great footy. So there's no givens. You don't play good footy and win these days. The competition's so even. And we got another challenge that comes up next week. I mean, we lose today, all of a sudden we lose track of the 8 and we drop out. So it can be as close as 1 win where you get talked about in finals. So Yeah, we got to be careful. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. We're still a young group, and we're working through how do we become a really consistent, strong team. That's where it sits at this point. And we've got another big challenge next week.
But fair to say you've got greater capacity to make that belief turn into something now than you had in any other time in the past 4 years.
Yeah, as I said, Rich, we've had great belief for a couple of years in where we're going and what we're doing. Everyone's, we're quick to jump on, people start talking about finals. We're just 1 week, we go again. We've got to get on these big stages. Today was a huge stage for us. We made it a big stage. We wanted it to be that. We played a team that's fighting for top four. And if we'd lost today, then we were going to lose, I guess, touch with that top 8. Now we find ourselves in it, and so now we can keep fighting.
All good, guys?
Thanks, guys.